But that's the point I want you to see, is that we have some answers and insights that are, because they're so familiar to us, we take for granted. And it's really important message. So, some of the side effects of people that have near-death experiences is oftentimes after the encounter, they suffer depression because earth life pales in comparison. And it's really difficult. And they don't want to return to their bodies. It's common that they say they have a dread to return. They then live their lives with no fear of death, and they have a greater understanding of what death is. And I find it interesting that this pastor, this best-selling book now, and that's probably why I was just irritated, is that his book was selling more than mine, and mine's better. And but he was just saying we don't need to fear death. This whole emphasis is we don't need to fear death. Well, that's what people are experiencing as they go through it. They come back with more purpose in life, and that they recognize that there is some divine plan or purpose for their existence. Now, none of these things shock us like, whoa, that's a Nobel Prize winner right there. We know that that's what's going to come. People that have that encounter with the spirit world, when they understand a divine purpose or plan for their life, there is increased personal spirituality. Oftentimes people come back and even change careers because they are drawn to those things that are more meaningful, more service-oriented, more giving in their lives than taking from life. And so the change in priorities, less materialistic, more focused on loving others and the relationships, and then they are consumed with a desire to gain greater knowledge. Now, all of those things together for us make sense. So let's look now at what the LDS teachings are. The prophet Joseph Smith taught, all men know that they must die. And it is important that we should understand the reasons and causes for our exposure to the vicissitudes of life and death and the designs and purposes of God in our coming into the world, our sufferings here and our departure hence. It is but reasonable to suppose that God would reveal something in reference to the matter. And it is a subject we ought to study more than any other. We ought to study it day and night, for the world is ignorant in reference to their true condition and relation. If we have any claim on our Heavenly Father for anything, it is for knowledge on this important subject. Where we came from, what is the purpose of life and our sufferings and trials and tribulations in this life, and where we go hence. We call that the plan of salvation. It's lesson 2 in Preach My Gospel that every missionary teaches. It is the answer to those 3 important questions that were developed in man's search for happiness. And the prophet Joseph Smith says, if our Heavenly Father is going to give anything to His children, any important knowledge that we can gain with regards to where we came from, where we're going, and how that affects us here in this life, we ought to study more than any other subject. We ought to study it day and night. Find that interesting. Now, why were the people at the International Association of Near-Death Studies, why were they just attracted to Bob Millett and me at the conference? I thought it was because we were charming, handsome, but no. They knew that Latter-day Saints had something to say about this subject.